Last time we made a procedural city. Today we're going to make procedural buildings, which we could put in our procedural city. All right, so we start off with this default cube, numpad 1 for front orthographic view. Then I pull this all the way up here, click over here and go to Geometry Node Editor. And all the modeling will be done in this. So I'm going to just zoom in. First thing you want to do is go to your geometry, click transform, make the z-axis 1, and shift A, geometry, join geometry. Then we're going to pull this all the way back. And first thing we want to do is add more inputs here to this group input. We had 3. We're going to name them width, height, and length. And I don't like this order, so I'm just going to lift this up, and you can adjust the order with the plus up and down arrow here. Width, length, and height. That's perfect. Now the first thing we want to do is, well, let me just show you this. If we go over here, we can see our geometry node editor. If we connected this directly into this, we could adjust the scale and size. Let me turn to the side. Scale and size of this object perfectly fine, but we like doing things the long way, I guess, or should I say the better way. Let's remove that and let's click on scale and we can minus that. We're going to do it based on width, length, and height. The way you do that is press Shift A and we're going to use vector math. I'm going to connect this over here. And we're going to go, we've got our width, length, and height here. Now let's click on our width over here. First thing you want to do is make the default value 1. The minimum value, let's make it 0.5. And the maximum value, let's make it 5. Let's go crazy. And we want to do this along all of them now. Default value 1. Minimum value 0.5. Maximum value 5. You kind of have to set your minimum and maximum values for this to work. So that's why I'm just getting this out the way now. 0.5. Oh, default value is 1. I've decided. 0.5 and 5. Now that we've done that, we can go over here and we can connect this over here. Now, when we're dealing with our width, we're dealing with the top row, so we just make that 1. We can select this, Shift D it, and we can connect this over here. And now we make this 0 because we're dealing with the opposite direction, the width, X, Y, and Z. Now we can duplicate this again, Shift D, and now we can connect the height to this, which would be the Z-axis. Note that I'm plugging them all to the top section and adjusting the bottom section. And the other thing you need to do is change it from add to multiply. Now this is pretty much set. All we need to do now is connect them, because now we've got 3 outputs and we only have 1 input to connect it to. So we're going to press Shift A, vector, math, and connect the width and the length. Shift A, vector, math, connect the width and the length, and finally the height. And once you've done that, you can connect this directly into this over here. And the reason why you see nothing at the moment is because you just need to adjust this and make sure it's higher than 0.5. So in this case, I'm just going to make everything 1. And once you've done that, let's press numpad 1. Let's go to the side view so we can see everything at an angle. You can now bring this all the way down to 0.5. It locks there, or bring it all the way up to 5. And by doing so, you can create interesting buildings. Now, the next problem we're running into is that this is going downwards past the floor. And that's not necessarily what we want. We want it to go up. Now, there are a few ways to handle this. One obvious way, let's just press 1, 1, and 1. One obvious way to handle this is to try and adjust this midpoint. But an easier way, because we're doing everything in geometry nodes, is just to do this. Press Shift D, connect this over here, And once you've done that, you remove this from this scale and you attach it to this scale. And by doing so, when you adjust the height, zoom out so we can see, it doesn't go into the floor. It's as easy as that, which is pretty awesome. So we've basically created a procedural block that can go any size based on the limitations we've created, which is perfect. But now we might want to take this one step further. We might want to model this. So yeah, let's get straight into it. All right, now that we've got that done, let's use booleans to model this further. So we can go Shift A, vector, vector math, or not vector math. I go to geometry, transform, and let's connect this over here. And we are going to connect this to the exit just for the time being. We will be connecting this to the geometry. Actually, we might as well just connect it to the geometry. It shouldn't be a train smash. Shift A. Now we're going to connect a boolean, however you pronounce it. There we go. And we need to connect this as well. Currently we're seeing the difference. Let's make this smaller, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Let's make this 0. Oh, whoops. 0. Zero, 0.5. Let's zoom in, yeah, so that could be the entrance. And then all we need to do is just select this, Shift D, and once again connect this in over here. This time we might decide to make this even smaller. Now we've got this over here. Let's all right, so one thing we want to change is we want to remove this. Zoom in. And we want to connect this boolean over here. And we want to zoom in over here and drop this in over here. And connect that there. All right, one thing you don't want to forget to do, once you've connected this boolean up here to this top position, is that you also need to disconnect this or else you won't see the desired result. There you go, so we've got the entrance. Now let's sort out the top as well. So all we need to do once again, let's start off with the base. So we can just press Shift D, connect this in over here. But Control X to delete. Shift D. And let's bring this all the way to the top here and connect it. And once again, we want to connect this to the core geometry. And we can see it's just made our roof a lot taller, which is great. Let's zoom in over here. Let's press Shift A. And let's use boolean again. And once again, we want to connect our core roof here. And let's just adjust a few settings here. Let's turn the core roof to the top. And one of the challenges we're running into is probably this. There we go. Now we can see the actual difference. Now that we've done that, we can make a few adjustments. All right, let's make a few more adjustments. Let's reduce the height or increase the height just for a little bit more detail. And now it looks pretty good, but we're still going to run into one more problem. So for example, when we scale this out, it's no longer working. And the reason being is because we've disconnected everything here, and we need to reconnect this to everything for it to work properly. But the problem we run into here, frankly, is that we want all of these booleans to take effect as well, which is very important. So one cheap solution, which is not perfect, is to disconnect this over here and then connect this, all the geometry effects that we've created here with those booleans, to happen before we've connected the scale size and everything. And we connect it in over here. And now when we adjust it, it works, but maybe not as desired because it stretches out a bit. But we still got somewhat of the desired effect. What we probably want is for these shapes to duplicate over being stretched when they reach certain sizes. But that's going to be for a new tutorial. This is a large enough problem in itself. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a procedural building in Blender. This is our final product. Please don't forget to like